and the soda water game has been upped exponentially. Like the fact that like you can find like a soda water, a LaCroix, like in my hometown is like insane to me in like my little tiny small hometown.
I've always been a fan of like San Pele and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked in the serve. I mean, I bartended in the serve for 10 years.
Right.
So it's like something that like we would kind of just like, I don't know. It was just like we would make like shandies and stuff with
Hell
it.
yeah.
And, yeah, you know, just
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's like, or that's definitely like when I'm taking it easy. Like I'll still like I won't do a beer in a shot. I'll do like a Croix in a shot. Morgan has served me those. Upteenth amounts of times.
I have become accustomed though. Like my friends when they go to cons, they love drinking Trulies. Or I think they're called Trulies. Yeah.
Yeah. White Claws.
It's like a LaCroix, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It's a beer Croix.
A beer Croix. Yeah. Totally. That would have been our favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite one. Anytime you put a spin on that. Anyway, hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me, Sean Tank Top. We are over here in Casa de Tank Top. We got ourselves the WestWorld Wednesday crew, not the Witcher Wednesday crew like I fucked up last time. But
get everyone excited.
The WestWorld Wednesday crew. We got ourselves Dustin and Morgan. What's going on, kids?
You know, we're just hanging in there.
We're just hanging in there, right? I think there's a lot of that going around. I think we're all sort of having that moment. And then we also have the man in flannel himself, Mr. Azor Ahype. We got Kyle over there, up there in Canada, doing pretty good.
Yeah, the lens of always winter. As
the lens of always winter and sensible social policies and stuff like that. You know, right?
I saw your man Bernie drop out today. Sorry to hear that, but I think you guys will get things done. We won't talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it's a rough one today.
Not enough about Mango Mussolini today.
Exactly right. Well, moving on to going on to this. We're talking about episode 4. Which is entitled "The Mother of Exiles," right? What did we? I guess before we kind of start, maybe getting into some of the things that we individually that we thought were interesting. What did we think about this 4th episode of the season?
I mean, I love the season so far.
The season's been amazing.
I'm like deep back in. Like I last season again, it was like there were certain episodes that were like amazing, but as an overall story, I just kind of got lost. This season, I'm like totally back in.
Totally. So. Yeah. And, what are you thinking, Kyle?
Really, really excellent episode. Wow. The Dolores. I
know.
Will the real Dolores please stand up? Spoilers.
Well, I technically wasn't wrong in my guesses. I did say White Dolores first, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
But really, really awesome episode. They keep on going with the titles of the episode based off these poems. The last episode, The Mother of Exiles, being based off the one called The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus, which is really interesting because it's based off, which talks about the Statue of Liberty, and we have Dolores kind of being this patroness, mother of house type of figure. So really cool episode. There's only 4 episodes left in the season. I feel like each one is getting more intense, and we got William back.
I know.
That opening scene right there. I mean, Tessa Thompson, acting off of Ed Harris. Like Ed Harris was just such a force, and she just they both acted their asses off in that scene. It was so good.
Evan Rachel Wood made a comment before the season. She says this season was like the acting Olympics. And I'm like, now that Game of Thrones isn't in the Emmy nomination category, I wonder if WestWorld will win some awards. Like, seriously, there's just amazing acting going on.
Yeah, they're utilizing a bunch of the story elements to really kind of give a lot of kind of meat on the bone to the players and stuff like that. Like, I mean, you think about, like, let's take Charlotte or Shalores, as I've heard people
Shalores.
As I've been hearing people call call her on the internet.
Kim Renfro, who attends Con of Thrones, actually interviewed Tessa Thompson. There's an she did like an Easter egg article, and that was actually the nickname that Tessa Thompson gives it. So it's funny that you guys.
Oh my god, that's
you guys are like just nailing it.
It's incredible. No, but like, so I remember when, like, if you think about just like the types of kind of like melodramatic kind of like waves that she's been able to ride with this part, because she was like obviously kind of like very kind of bewildered in kind of like in the one episode, she's like playing bewildered, playing kind of very like savage, and kind of like when she finally like kind of I guess kind of like became got more in tune with who she really was, who we found out in this episode was a copy of Dolores. But like, holy shit, like, I mean, just like the different shades that she's been able to play. And again, with this one, it's like this weird, like cool psychological game of cat and mouse that she's playing with William. And Ed Harris was just like, he was in season 2, not necessarily in season 1. In season 2, he was definitely like a character that I was just like, he kind of had like this one note, and it was really fucking cool to be able to see him play a different shade of this guy. You know what I mean? Or at least it seemed like it was different, and we just haven't seen him in a while. And it's like a character that I kind of had maybe kind of put out to pasture a little bit, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, wait, I'm like glad that you're back in this show, and I'm glad that you're doing the things that you're doing,
I was wondering, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure Shaloris drugged him to frame him for insanity, just to fuck with him, also to get him out of the way. Like, also to take over. But like, she went the extra mile where I think she was fucking with him for a while.
Yeah.
And then was like, oh, let's get him committed. I don't know. I feel like she could have probably just given him enough drugs and like got him committed like pretty quick. But I think she played with her food for just to be like, do you remember when you used to do this to me like all the time? So here we go. And then that whole chef's kiss on the end where she's like, this is what I've been waiting for. Like, it was pretty good. I'm like, for revenge, I'm like, I'm into that.
Yeah. It was definitely like kind of WestWorld by the way of like psychological Saw, like where
a little bit.
You know what I'm saying? Like where she's trying to really fucking, she's trying to really upend this guy. Yeah, right. She's like really trying to like really crack this guy open and really kind of lay him to bear at his most kind of, I think, I guess it's at the most vulnerable that we've ever seen this character.
But she better watch out, because I feel like once he's in like the care of like a psychiatric hospital and he's not being as like fucked up and drugged anymore, unless she got another Dolores to be his doctor, which is possible. But I'm like, you don't wound what you can't kill, because man, if he comes back, he's gonna like come back.
I do wonder if he's gonna be back, but we'll talk about that a little bit in the spectrum scene. But what were you thinking, Kyle? What did you think about it?
Really interesting.
That whole section of the
William's my favorite character, so I have so much to say. But I'll just kind of hit on some notes about what Morgan was saying. One scene that really interested me and that right away through it for me was the scene with the power exchanges. We have the one where she's shaving William, which is actually the same one that happens at the end of season 1 where Dolores is shaving him. So that was a really,
I forgot about that.
Also, the scene, I 100% agree that he was injected with genre, which is the name of the drug in the episode. And that's the title of the next episode, which we'll talk about after. But you know what's really interesting? There were, ever seen Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass?
Through the Looking,
the newest one?
The newest, not the new. You're talking about the newest of the Tim Burton.
Yeah, because she's got a blue dress like Dolores.
Oh,
and then the showrunners have even said that dress is based off Through the Looking Glass. And I went back and watched that movie. And you know how she enters Wonderland again? She goes through a mirror. And I was like, holy crap, that scene with Will, like the power positions, everything that's happening, Emily being in the mirror, all of that. I'm like,
he's literally putting bullets in mirrors. It's like the reflection of who he's become or who he's allowed himself to become. You know something that he just doesn't want to deal with, I'm
going to throw something crazy out there, and I actually think we're going to have our minds blown in the last episode of the season. I think we're seeing this evil twin theory simulation transformation thing happen in the whole season, because we have William in white and then we have him in black before he goes the drug thing again. We have Serac being nice with Maeve and then he shoots a guy in the head. I think we're seeing two versions of each person in every episode.
I think this is definitely like this. There's definitely like a big theme of duality of everybody. You know?
Yeah, because Shalora starts out all like wide-eyed and shaky and like, oh, I need to be like taken care of, and then to murdering the pedo like in the same episode. So
right,
stealing dogs.
Taking care of fucking right. I know, taking care of getting the good boys together, which everybody can always get behind. Like killing pedos and getting and
steal their dogs, like Buffalo Bill's little puppy.
You know what's crazy too?
It's not Precious's fault.
You know what's crazy about the dog thing? Not only does Caleb's name mean dog, but the fidelity. You remember the scene where William puts the key card in the books, all the Kurt Vonnegut books? There's two dog stands that hold up all of those books. And I'm like, shit. And I went back into the forge and I saw a bunch of shit. We can talk about it after, but I'm like, oh my God, the fucking dog stand.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, like it was. I mean, like it's definitely like that's one thing that definitely this show is really. It's definitely able to do. Certainly on definitely I'm getting like as far as being able to interweave imagery, iconography that they've definitely like. That they've that they have immersed themselves in. I'm getting like a lot of Watchmen vibes because Watchmen was silly with that shit, especially with the original book. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, I definitely if you got a little extra time these days, Kyle, you should definitely check out Watchmen if you hadn't seen it.
I've been saving that for a rainy day, my friend.
It's so good.
It's raining right now.
Yeah.
Actually, it is raining outside right now.
It's raining here too.
It's raining here, but no, but I remember, I just thought that it was like a really, really cool way, or definitely like a very cool way to start the episode, because we're like right in the thick of basically of Ed Harris just kind of like figuring out like who, like I know who I am, blah blah, all that kind of stuff. I mean, even though Ed Harris definitely reminded me of myself if I ever wake up from like a 2-day bender, just like minus the firearms and everything like that, but like afraid of my own, like reflection and shit like that. And I was definitely getting like some kind of like Woody Harrelson Kingpin vibes in the beginning. Kingpin when he's super shit faced and he's like. He just wakes up and he's like, "Who you calling a psycho?" Like,
we have Vacation with Tank Top. I can confirm that this is exactly how he acts.
Oh my God! Yeah, exactly.
So nerd all the time, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, like, there was a lot of cool stuff in there. And again, trying to pry William apart. I mean, because obviously we put this in some of our notes. So this is an interesting idea. We saw at the end of the episode, Shaloris had like a little pinprick thing. That I'm assuming is
more of the drug, maybe, or she's taking it out so that they can't detect that he had been drugged. He's gonna be like, I was drugged, and then maybe that was her like taking it out of him.
Well, that she also says right after that. I think what's really important too is she says, "Oh, like the board vote and all of that." She's talking about that, and that Dolores is trying to acquire power of Delos. So acquiring his DNA definitally important.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
There it is.
I got you. Okay, because I thought that it was possibly like a thing where maybe she was administering one last kind of like. Little thing,
psychedelic drug,
You know what? Could she actually make William? We saw those barrels of milk.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, she recreated the security guy.
Yeah.
She put herself.
Martin Connells.
Yeah, she put herself in him. So can't she just make herself a
and Musashi as well, right? So
like
is she creating a bunch of hosts? That would be insane.
Bet she has a Man on Black on Ice somewhere.
just have him cool. He just cooling in like the ice box somewhere or whatever.
Yeah.
It was,
Oh yeah.
I could totally see that. Because I originally had thought that Dolores was interested in assimilating and taking, because it seems like she has one pearl left, right?
And so is that just another one of hers, or is that the little red gumball that's like special?
See,
well, one went in Bernard. We got to remember that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, all right. So maybe they're okay. So
and Bernard is not a Dolores, is he?
You know what's really interesting? In the Serac scene, he's talking to Maeve, and he's talking about how there's 3 female and 2 male hosts. However, that's actually wrong in the episode.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because we have Bernard, we have Musashi, and we have Connells, and then we only have Dolores herself and Charlotte Hale.
Yeah.
But I think there's a possibility of the switch going on because I definitely think she was in Emily 100%. I don't think Man in Black was hallucinating that. I think that was happening.
All right.
Oh, you think there was an actual host?
Yeah. So something's going on there. So I think Serac might not be able to detect that Dolores is able to make hosts, which would put him in like a big amount of trouble, right?
Oh, yeah.
It seems like he wouldn't be kind of so namby-pamby with just like, yeah, we got to find her. Like he obviously is a man of immense resources, and I know that he's trying to like fly under the radar, but it seems like if he knew that she could do the things that she is capable of doing, that he would not just be seeking to maybe, I don't know, maybe there's like he would be putting more resources towards trying to find her. Maybe I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. It was like
but now we found out that Dolores is in Hale, and Hale was right there with Serac in that one scene, right? So Serac doesn't know that Dolores is in Charlotte Hale.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, so that's I mean, it's definitely there. I feel like there's going to be like a paradigm shift. Like Dolores is kind of firmly on the offensive. Definitely at this point, she has kind of like been building up momentum, and she is like striking, right? And really making moves. I mean, like the let me see, what else do we got going on? I mean, one of the best, like, as far as like just like a little kind of like a thing, like I really, again, I love the future world building that they were doing and stuff like that. Like I really dug like the tech details, like when they're going and getting Caleb like fitted with a suit. He just literally can stand in front of him. I want that fucking shit so bad.
Yeah,
so
me
cool.
Same. If I didn't, if you didn't have to like take all your clothes off to try on clothes,
that would be. I mean, like, how rad would that be? You know what I mean? Like, it was just so definitely cool. Like, yeah. I feel bad for like those nice ladies folding all of the clothes in like the little changing areas and stuff like that. Though they'd be out of a job. It's automation. It's all going to automation. Automation, and these holograms are taking your jobs, but like
they really are.
They really are. But like,
I mean, those bartenders are probably robots. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Right.
I'm out of a job. I'm already out of a job, so whatever.
Oh my god, wouldn't that be the biggest bummer if we found out that all the bars were still open, but it was just holograms that were working them, and they didn't
even need us anymore.
We don't need you. Get out of here, Tank Top. Get out of here, Dre.
Every bar is The Shining.
Or that was that horrible movie with the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy, Passenger.
Right.
Where it's like that little robot.
We gotta throw. Even though we were talking about how nice the hologram try-on fitting room would be, except for we got a very good observation from here. I'm gonna put it up there.
Who says that that's a glitch? Sometimes you gotta try them on your head.
Yeah, that's right.
That's David Adams, the first ever mod on my channel. I love David.
That's so cool. What's going on, Dave?
It's called Fashion, David. Look it up, okay?
Totally.
you know, in that scene, there's something so important happens. You know when Dolores is making fun of the elite class, and she says they use plumage to conceal themselves?
Right.
So I found something crazy out about this, and that was a huge piece of foreshadowing. In the opening sequence, we see the eagle, right?
Oh, yeah.
In Greek mythology, Zeus had an eagle which allowed him to shapeshift and be in multiple places at once.
Right.
Oh, dang. Well, there you go.
That's kind of there's definitely, I mean, again, multiple people at once are really like that. There was another thing I found this. I didn't think of this, but I saw it when I was reading a couple of different breakdowns or whatever it is. There was a really cool when kind of Maeve is going in like full fucking ass kicking, like reconnaissance mode, like just kicking ass and taking names from everybody. And she ends up basically where she was. What was the name of
Musashi?
Yeah. When she runs into them, but before they get in there, she comes up on like the factory that I think has a bunch of like the milk or
the white goo,
the white
host goo.
Yeah, the host goo. That they got to
host milk.
Right, and then but she goes in and it's called
Aikadoshin.
Right, which is a Buddhist term, which means many in body, one in mind.
Oh dang! Well,
like, oh, you know, which is like another one that I thought was really fucking cool. But I mean, like that scene was just like watching her kind of. This was like the episode where her and Serac like really like where he really sold her on like her mission. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like where she really came to understand. You know, he's like, we want the same thing. Like you're like the same thing that I need that's in Dolores's mind is the same thing that you need to be able to possibly go to the Rainbow Bridge and like hang out with your daughter and everybody, you know, like and everybody that was all the other hosts that were able to escape. And I thought it was like again, like just like a lot of fun, beautiful fucking like art direction and imagery and stuff like that throughout that whole thing. What did you think about it, Kyle?
I actually don't think Maeve is buying it.
Oh no shit. Well, least so far as like at least certainly where she's like, okay, I'll go on your mission. I think that she's gonna do like a little 180. I think there's gonna be a little something going on there. But yeah,
I think Maeve and William are in similar places right now because William is in a prisoner of his own sins, right? Like that's what Dolores says to him, and we like I'm not so sure we aren't not seeing still simulation stuff with Maeve. I mean the definitely the Musashi stuff, yes. I think that might be real world, but she's kind of caged too because he's like he's really manipulating her. Like he's like not like he's like you can do this or you. I mean, you can stay in that. And he says something really important. He says he actually says he doesn't believe there's a place for both kinds in the same world.
Yeah, that was really fascinating.
So
and I don't think Maeve's gonna forget that. So
sure. So right. So he is. I mean, like him and Dolores are essentially looking for the same thing. Like they have like an eradication. Like it's kind of the thing that they seek, basically.
Well, to a certain extent, I mean, Maeve her whole goal, as I've seen it, is just to get to her daughter and just go live in Valhalla forever.
Yeah.
So actually, she might kind of agree where it's like, okay, well, maybe we don't belong in the same world, but can you just send all of my kind to like paradise where we can live free and like do what we want?
Totally.
And then you guys can have like the actual like, you know, analog world like of organic things. Like, I don't know, but right now Maeve is going along to get along in the moment because he's kind of has her over the barrel. But it's in her nature to like try and figure out the upper hand and like, she's pretty savvy. So I feel like she's gonna.
One really interesting thing is Musashi tries to cut the pearl out, and
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My god, I forgot. That's what he was doing.
He's like ready to fucking do it. Like
I'm wondering if Dolores is gonna like if she had enough time and she was gonna put herself inside Maeve to get Serac.
Definitely.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. I bet.
Who wouldn't want to get into that fucking body? Tandy Newton? Come on, are you kidding me? I mean, I'd be the other version of Ed Harris, right? I'd be looking at the mirror, but I wouldn't be full of disgust and regret. You know what I mean? Like I'd be like, I look so pretty.
They're all really even Ed Harris at his age, he's a good looking man.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful man.
You can still get it, you know. He's
been married to his wife since the 1980s. He's a good boy.
Oh, what a good fella.
There you go. Right on. Excellent.
So all the stuff he does with the show and his family. Yeah.
He's a really good actor.
I know, right? Well, that was the other thing is that we kind of finally, I remember I had seen the images in the trailers, a bunch of stuff like that. And we kind of got the whole Paris, you know, thing kind of illuminated for us a little bit, which kind of definitely gives us kind of a keyhole into like the things that make Serac tick and everything like that, you know. And again, like and you'll see when when you check out Watchmen, but I was getting some big fucking Ozymandias vibes from
Yeah, they're just love their nuclear bombs. Their damn bombs.
Making their godforsaken bombs. Like, because that's obviously, that created his entire worldview, because now he's like, I'm not leaving anything to chance. Why the fuck would I do that? Like, look what happens when we like have a semblance of free choice, when we destroy ourselves and stuff like that. So, I mean, I thought that was cool to kind of finally get that whole, just to kind of basically confirm kind of what we had already suspected. There's a lot, and there was a lot of that in this episode. There's been a lot of that in this season. Like, they haven't really been sitting on too many like mysteries for as long as they may have in previous seasons. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was really fucking interesting.
Serac definitely showed empathy in that scene. It's really interesting too, because they do the whole top down thing. On the mural on the top, there's deer, and there's a dead deer beside him on the ground when they see the thermonuclear bomb exploded. And I actually did some, I love to do research on nerdy things. I found out that the deer,
get out of here.
In that scene, I couldn't help but like Serac's faith in humanity was gone. And I went and did a little bit of research in the Christian faith, and I found out that deer represent honor, mercy, and compassion. So I wonder if that was the death of Serac's honor, mercy, and compassion in that scene,
the killing of a Serac deer.
Because I wonder if his brother survived, and that's part of the reason he created Rehoboam. Like, something like so deeply hurt him. I think his brother might be dead or something, I don't know, because he's so deeply hurt by that. You can see he's almost in tears. Like, he's like, I can't let this happen again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So here, this is an interesting thing. I'm going to throw this up onto the screen real quick. So because the whole thing, we've toyed with the idea of simulation and the fact that, like, are we actually experiencing this, or is this a simulation and stuff like that? And there's one world that people kind of haven't, like, it's a reference to a sequel in the 70s to the movie, but I'm going to throw this up here, right? As they think that we're in Future World.
Ooh. It's a possibility.
It totally is a possibility.
The second.
Well, the fifth park hasn't been revealed yet. We're still missing one park.
Oh man,
that's right. Yeah, so like maybe like the Future World thing, which was because there was WestWorld, and then there was a sequel that was made, I think, about 3 or 4 years in like 1976 or 77, with Peter Fonda. It's really wonky, and it's just a weird bad movie. So is the first one, kind of in a way. But like but Future World was like a big thing, and it's essentially the same idea where they're talking about, like, they wanted to swap out real people with hosts, and then so they could kind of do their bidding in the real world and stuff like that. Which again, like, I could see it. It's possible. You know what I mean?
Which is like the corollary to when we get to the fundraisers, like that weird, like, eyes wide shut, like, sex party. Because essentially you have, your sex workers are basically the same as the hosts. You can use your little touch print DNA coin bidding.
And it's like you would hope that they have agency, like they're choosing to be there, but it's like the way they're presented, they have very little agency. They're just props that show up at your party and stand there, and then you pay you swipe your little finger card and
you do whatever you want.
Swipe your little fucking creepy, Apple Pay and fucking and get down with some weirdness. I mean, like, that was it was a cool scene, but you're absolutely right, Dustin, where it was like, it definitely shows that, and that's one thing that definitely, like, in Caleb's storyline and everything that we've kind of seen, is that they're just illustrating the fact that, like, that the real world is essentially just as commodified and as regimented and controlled as it was in the park. And like, and that was like, and it was a cool thing. I mean, I think somebody had already said it in the comments, but I'd notice it, because every time that we have like a cool scene where you can definitely hear, like, Ramin gets to
The Weekend. Oh my!
That was super cool.
The lyrics of that song fit that scene perfectly too. Totally, I have them. If
yeah. I mean, like, this is like, I do like the Weeknd. He can be a bit much though. He's like so intense and quivery, kind of makes me uncomfortable. Like I get the appeal, you know what I mean? But like
it works as a piano ballad.
That's what I'm saying. It totally did.
Hello too. Oh
yeah, man. Are you kidding me?
Also was really into the Bjork one.
The Bjork one was great. The human behavior cover.
Yeah.
I heard that and I was like, yes.
I mean, duh. That's kind of a if they did.
They acquire so many good artists: Radiohead, Bjork, just in general. Don't they have Florence and the Machine as well?
Yeah,
All
Florence
these
and the
great
Machine was
artists.
one. They did a fucking. They did a Kanye
RJ
West
Box
one.
by Nirvana.
They did Kanye West too, when they were just like, "Here's a toast to the assholes" or whatever.
So good.
Which was so perfect.
Good.
So perfect for that fucking. Definitely for that. And certainly where the show was at that point. Yeah, I mean, because immediately I went to, it's like an update, because that was like, you were talking about Eyes Wide Shut before, Dustin, and it's a different Wicked Games, but it's still very much like they're making, like, because Chris Isaak very famously did a couple of tracks for Eyes Wide Shut, the Kubrick movie that has the weird sex, parties and stuff like that. That scene was like a shitload of fun, mostly because we finally kind of, we get this big sexy stew going and we put all of our fucking players into one spot, which is always
kind of like the convergence at Winterfell when all the characters got to Winterfell.
Yeah, it was a lot like that.
But in a more sexy environment.
It was definitely like kind of like a purple wedding type of like thing where it's just like everybody, even though except for it kind of almost immediately kind of goes into
action mode,
an action beat. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't a lot of, I would have liked like maybe one or two more like kind of dialogue heavy scenes, just because I think that these characters and where they're all coming from are so fucking interesting. But like we also get like, we haven't really talked about Bernard and Stubbs.
Oh yeah,
and they're having like
go ahead. With the Bernard stuff, I like screamed because I'm a gigantic on cinema at the cinema fan. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. It's like Tim Heidecker's and I forgot the other guy, Neil Hamburger's stage name, but when they were holing up in Victorville, and I'm like, I wonder if they're gonna check out the archives.
Totally.
And then I'm like picturing Greg Turkington like doing a tour, like WestWorld was filmed here, and it's just his head in like the building. I feel like the creators knew what they were doing, but maybe they didn't. I don't know.
Totally.
I feel like they knew what they were doing there, though.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like, and that was also another cool, like, and it's the kind of it's the kind of like future stuff that I really dig, where it's like it's something that is kind of identifiably, you could, like, that kind of weird like motel that they were in is totally just like a 70s-esque like motel in LA or something like that, but it has like all of this kind of future tech kind of like slapped onto it, and like little which I'm sure is like how like our grandparents probably see like some of their environment now. Like we have billboards that like are animated and can have video on it and stuff like that, but it's like right next to like like a building in Chicago that's like I don't know, that's like 100 years old or something.
There was rockets flying in the background.
I know.
Yeah.
Elon Musk fucking rockets like taking off and leaving and shit like that I thought was really fucking cool. And I just love their whole, they got like this weird kind of like set, even like their name, Bernard and Stubbs. It sounds like a 70s cop show.
It really does.
It sounds like a 70s cop show for sure, like Chips or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Complete with getting fucking hammered in the fucking hotel room. Speaking about going on vacation with me, Dustin.
Yeah.
There's actually a lack of fidelity in that scene. If we look close,
totally.
Bernard is. So it's really interesting because he has a flashback of a memory that isn't even real, right? So like he's remembering his kid, and that's a fiction. He's still having it, whether he's self-aware of that or not, which is really interesting. And Bernard too. One thing that's really interesting is it's kind of similar to the Serac scene. He's by that cow. if you watch that scene again too, there's kind of this disassociation going on. The cow doesn't have the barbed wire and it has the barbed wire. So there's something really going on with Bernard and like this like disassociation.
Totally.
Like he can't really like he's because he constantly checks himself whether he's corrupted or not. So he might
it's kind of like it's kind of like it's being in quarantine. It's like it's almost like we're in a movie. Like there are no inert coughs or scratches.
Yeah, you have to check yourself every day.
If you cough in a movie, you're fucking dead by the next act. You know what I mean? And so he's like, it's kind of like the whole thing where it's like, I have this impetus to do this thing. I have this drive, to make this happen. But is that because I've been programmed? We're still kind of. I do like that we have kind of given up on that strand, especially. Like, is this my own free will of my own volition, or what am I being manipulated into?
Right? Is there still an Arnold, to be messing with him in some way?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, and in a way, I mean, kind of Dolores sort of is a bit of an Arnold, like in this whole thing. I mean, she's got this big web that she's kind of weaving right now. It'll be kind of interesting to see how it all comes together. Well, here's the other thing that I thought was kind of interesting as far as like Bernard, like, I think that to me is like one of the more interesting questions that I have at this point is why he is there.
Yeah, what's his deal? And like, is it part of Dolores's plan?
Right.
Like what is going on? Why would she let him out to like be a foil?
Yeah.
Unless for a reason.
Yeah.
Well, we've said in the last episode where she brought him out to keep herself in check, but I just don't know why.
I mean, I think the why of it is what are you thinking about that, Kyle? What do you got, babe? I know you got a couple 2-3 things to say.
Yeah, so one scene that's really interesting at the near the beginning of the episode, we have Bernard says Arnold's house was never finished, and then we see it with Maeve and Serac later on,
right?
And it's finished. So that's a really interesting thing. There's these connections between Serac and Bernard, which is really interesting.
Sure.
The thing about Bernard, he's been kind of key to almost all of the big reveals, right? Like in season 1, we get that big reveal when he's doing his fidelity test, right? So I think, one thing that was really shown, and this was shown in the first episode, is stuff to do with compassion, too. And we see Dolores kind of making this Breaking Bad jump the shark type of moment this season where she's kind of turning into her reflection, this evil twin from the mirror. So it's really interesting because in the next trailer, Bernard says, have you thought about what she's asking you to do to Caleb? And Liam injects him with genre. So Bernard's going to have some sort of key role to play in the whole Serac Dolores and whether Dolores ends up getting her wish.
Right. I mean, well, insofar as what we were talking about before, where it's like it would speak to the future world scenario, whereas she is not even out of the park yet. You know what I mean? Which is like,
so this is her fidelity test? Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, you can kind of, with the simulation angle kind of makes it so you can sort of, like, you can kind of entertain kind of like the wildest,
Yeah, but that's just frustrating storytelling. I
agree with that. I think it could be. I mean, like, I hope it's like a little more grounded than that, but it's like once you sort of get into, again, we were talking about it'd be like the Matrix, Reloaded type of moment.
Have you guys ever seen Person of Interest? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, why would they make pedophiles in Future World? Like they literally,
right? Maybe
unless that's where pedophiles go to get their kicks on robot children. Like, what is going on there? So I hope it's not Future World, because why would they make that?
Yeah, right, exactly. Or like what is to be gained unless it's unless they're trying to, I guess, elicit Dolores's wrath to
it's like a whole thing.
Yeah, who knows?
So something that's really interesting. Have you guys ever seen Person of Interest? It's also a Jonathan Nolan TV show.
No, I haven't. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
I won't spoil too much for you, but there's this machine. It's this AI, and it's like ultra powerful. Sure. Michael Emerson from Lost is in that, and he's great. But one thing that's interesting, I mentioned it earlier, the Serac kind of, if what we're seeing is Rehoboam simulation, kind of these multiple outcomes, and then what if we see? Okay, let's put this out there. What if we see the kind of the finality of their decisions in episode 8. And then we're like, oh shit. Like we realize that they made mistakes in the decision making. And then we find out that like Rehoboam becomes this like Ultron-esque super, and then we have like kind of the host versus God AI thing set up for season 4.
Oh man, I mean,
I could kind of see it going there because more as the episodes pass, Serac becomes like scarier and scarier to me. Like
that's true.
At first I wasn't sure, but like even in the conversation with Maeve, he shows some empathy, and then he just shoots a guy in the head.
Yeah,
he like turns it right up. Yeah,
right. I mean, he definitely. There's definitely like a big disconnect or whatever. Like he puts on the fucking glasses and he shows the guy like what'll happen to his fucking.
I think
family or whatever. You know, like that was brutal for sure.
I honestly think there's going to be a big twist where he knows a lot more than we think.
Oh,
sure. He's in a lot more control than we think, and then we're like, uh-oh. So I think Dolores is in a lot of trouble. Honestly.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, it would definitely. What it's like.
She's been like just super powerful the whole season.
She's been killing it.
No,
I mean,
which is like that doesn't bode well.
Daenerys.
Daenerys. Exactly. When you have like a character who's like walking around, like getting her way.
Yeah, right. I mean, or like just anytime. I mean, like that's just kind of what you have to do in a dramatic story. You know what I mean? As soon as you kind of become like the fucking, as soon as you start, wearing your big boy or girl pants on or whatever it is, and then something should kind of like stop you, make you have to reassess and make you have to regroup. Otherwise it just becomes like a fucking Fast and the Furious, like self-flagellating fucking like action movie. You know what I mean? Like if you're just unstoppable, like there's no other pathos to it. You know what I mean? So I mean, like, so how many Doloreses do we have? Oh, but also, by the way, just like it was just cool to fucking see Musashi again. Like that was just like a cool that was like a cool card that they kind of were able to pull out that I wasn't sure if we were ever going to see anybody from Shogun World back again. What did you guys think about that when that happened?
I was
well, I thought it was an interesting choice because he was so prominent in season 2. And he was so integral to Maeve's storyline, but I don't really know how he fits into Dolores's storylines.
Sure.
I don't know why Dolores would have
chose him
specifically.
She just might have needed. She's like, oh, I need someone to be in Singapore is where they were at, right?
Right.
I guess.
And so like she's
I need
can pretend to be from Singapore, right? Or no, the Yuzuka. So he's being Japanese. Yeah. So she's like, no, I just need someone who's like the main guy that I got in Shogun World. Okay.
Right.
Get in there, kid. I don't know.
She gives him a little pat on the ass as he goes out to the bed. He goes out to the ball field.
Yeah. Maybe Scarlett Johansson was too busy and they couldn't pass her.
I know. ScarJo couldn't.
Oh my god!
Play the
I mean, I would pay a couple $2-3 to see that fight though, man. ScarJo versus Maeve. That'd be pretty.
That's a sexy fight right there.
Yeah, man, absolutely, dude. Like I mean, like I did think it was like a cool. It was just like again, like it was a good. It wasn't like. And obviously, it's not like member berries, but it was like, oh yeah. I mean, because it would make sense. Yeah, I think to your point, Morgan, as far as like, he's like, I need somebody who I can literally like, not even just manipulate, that I can like, take over, become an entity in Singapore, and get a hold of apparently what is just like the host goop stockpile is kind of that's what I'm assuming.
I mean, she's just like casting her movie. So she's like, okay, who's for this role? I'm going to be playing all the roles, but
it's a fucking one-woman show. And now off Broadway, Dolores, starring Dolores and Shalores.
ScarJo would love this technology if she could just put herself into like people of color's bodies and she could do all those. She's like, I can do all these roles and not get any guff about it.
Right, exactly. It'd be so fucking perfect. It'd be so great.
You know what's so interesting about her being in so many different bodies, though, is we did see her trying to fight out of the host body of Charlotte Hale. And each body that she's in, she's having like this different human experience with each person, like different cultures, all of that. So I really wonder if that's going to become a problem. Because we kind of saw that with Charlotte Hale and we saw her trying to fight out.
Right.
And like Hiroyuki, I was just saying, like a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
He did do that, like when he's speaking to Maeve, he did do that like more effeminate part. I was like, oh, like that's like fantastic. He's trying to like evoke the femininity of what would be Dolores, but I don't know. I just have this feeling like her being like, it's kind of like biting off more that she can chew, being because she's experiencing all of these different lines. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think all of the Doloreses are connected?
No, I was just about to.
I don't think they are.
No, because the one was shook when she had to meet up with the Charloris and she was cutting herself. Yeah. She was surprised by that and like, what's going on? I need to fix you. Like
all of these iPads and iPhones and everything are not synced across.
They're not on the cloud.
Yeah, they're not in the Dolores cloud.
We got to wonder if that same situation with Charlotte Hale, where she's like having that anxiety attack. You know, when Jon Snow reawoke from being dead, he's like, oh shit, I just died. We got to wonder
why did you bring me back? I was finally got to sleep. God damn it.
Yeah. Did all those hosts have that same reaction that Charlotte did when she says, I have to teach you who you have to pretend to be? Like we don't know, right?
That might be, I mean, that's an interesting point. I mean, like that could be, there might be something to that because insofar as like maybe Charlotte was one of, even though she was in Charlotte's body when she shot the real Charlotte in season 2, but maybe I think she was just kind of right.
She brought that body out of the park. Maybe that's why the host bodies aren't adding up. Because remember, she brought that one out of the park, and then she said she remade Arnold. I wonder if that one's decaying.
Maybe,
right? and then they're saving another one for like a big reveal or something
for a rainy day, just like today,
I don't know why it just popped in my head. Geez.
No, totally, man. I mean, like oh man, I remember. Well, so we got Dolores. I'm calling Dolores. I mean, you could just call her Dolores, but I'm calling her Dolores Prime. And you got Dolores Prime. You got the security guard. You got Musashi. You got Shaloris. And so here's the thing. Do they have one more Pearl? There's one more Pearl, right?
One was Bernard, and then she had 5 more.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm thinking, is she trying to become Dempsey Jr. or is she trying to become William?
Why wouldn't she have?
That's what Bernard was trying to stop.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Dempsey, she wants Dempsey, right? She wants Dempsey Jr.
But why wouldn't she have already done that?
Because I think she was using him to get close in the company, so she needed it to be him for some reason.
I think she read the book on him and would calculate that he would give away his money, and he was so trusting the Connells. And like the last scenes of the last episode, maybe she calculated that he wasn't
as kind of a doting. He's kind of adult. Like he's kind of like
his daddy issues essentially.
Yeah, he's a raised rich little asshole who's been fucking. People have been taking care of his shit for his entire life. I mean, like, why wouldn't he just like? That's like what all types of like those type of like. No, it's like these born rich motherfuckers where it's like they're. Where they'll just like, where do I gotta sign? Okay, fucking sign here. They're fucking iTunes agreeing shit all day, every day. You know what I mean? Like, and so it was. Yeah, I think that. So she wants to. Does she want to become him, or where's that last Pearl?
Bernard thinks that she's trying to be him,
but
we don't know that explicitly. We know she's trying to.
Sure. I think she's trying to get at Rehoboam, and so like that's her in,
right?
But yeah, I don't know.
It's so interesting that Liam essentially gives away his money, and William has it taken away from him. There's something like that, right?
Dude. She's fucking wheeling and dealing, man. Wolf of Wall Street, Wolf of Dolores Street over there.
And Liam's name is in William. Liam. She likes abusing Williams.
She's got
it like now it's like she can't really do because that kind of brings us to the end of the episode where it's finally revealed and where Dolores kind of reveals to William who she is and what she's doing, which was so fucking satisfying. It was so cool. Like I really like it was kind of to have that because I didn't see it that they were all copies because we were all this whole time we were like that guy's that guy's that. I thought that was actually that was a nice little twist. like, now, does Dolores just want to copy and paste herself? Or is she trying to build a society? Is it just like, is this just advantageous for her right now to all be the same person, to all have the exact same goal? Or is she literally trying to have like an Agent Smith, like, I'm going to fucking just turn everybody into me?
I mean, it might be a thing where she's like, well, my programming, I know, like, guarantees a little bit of like certain skills or autonomy, and like some of the other hosts might not be able to like make it without getting like abused or something. I don't know. I think she just trusts her programming more than ever. She's like, you know, done the maze and everything.
Totally.
And so I'm like wondering if she's like, well, it's a jumping off point. They start off as me, but as we see, like, who knows where, like, through different experiences and like nature versus nurture, like,
we can become anyone we want. She says that.
Yeah.
Well,
so
she does bring up the
be...
game. She mentions it to William. She talks about, you know, we're at the end of the game and, you know, you lost, essentially.
Yeah.
And so she brings it back to season 1 with his trying to get to the center of the maze and trying to be in the game.
Well, I think, and to me, that was a really great, it kind of crystallized, and it finally put a button as, like, before I get into what I think that they were talking about, that do we think that we're ever going to see Ed Harris in this show again?
Oh, he's a huge part of
Yeah.
the show.
Oh, yeah.
So?
Oh,
You think he's
yeah.
coming back?
Oh.
Okay.
I would be mad if he didn't.
I think he'll be in the last ever scene of the show.
Okay.
Yeah, unless I see a head on a spike, but even then they could come back as a...
They better
It's
not.
like, it's Game of Thrones rules, right? That's like, also, yeah, if you see a head on a spike, you can also make a new one into a robot. So
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's just it's just a robo head.
He's a great character, and I don't think he's exactly... I wouldn't want them to leave him, like, just tucked away.
Did you guys see the secret trailers before the season?
No.
No.
In a trailer, he says, I'm going to save the fucking world. So I wonder...
Oh, shit.
He'll probably either...
I don't know.
Interesting.
He's going to work with someone. Maybe he'll work with Maeve.
There's going to be like a weird alliance. Maybe Maeve or maybe Bernard. Maybe Bernard busts him out and, you know, like, or whatever. That could be a nice little team up. But I think that the button on that thing was just like, we're at the end. This is the end of the game. And I think it was one of those things where it was kind of, it goes back to probably what Ford, at least something that he was very interested in, where it's essentially, it's not a character study of any of the stories that were ever in the park. It's a character study of who enters the park. The type of person that they are gets revealed. And that is the kind of like whatever is truly, because that kind of goes back to what they're talking about before. It's like, what does she say? She goes like, either you're free and evil or you're blameless and enslaved. And, you know, and she's like, which are you? And then she kind of basically has to bring it back kind of full circle to him, and then be like, and then basically be like, the point is to find out who you really are, and you don't fucking know, motherfucker. And like that's kind of what I think that was like the kind of big end game for her. That was her big kind of like revenge tapestry. You know what I mean? For especially for him. Because I'm with you, Mo. I think she's been doing that for a decent amount of time.
Well, you saw the state of his house. Like, and I bet she did it slow too. I bet he was like rattling around in his house, and I bet he just started to get weird, and then it probably ramped up over the like months and months, and that's how you end up with a house in that state where it's like everything's
just started by stealing a sock out of the dryer,
right? Like changing the prescription in his contacts.
Yeah,
if you ever wear them, I don't know.
Those damn sock gnomes.
Right?
Yeah.
Just doing a bunch of crazy pranks, which eventually crescendo into like
his daughter.
His daughter bleeding and talking to him and blaming him for everything. I mean, it started out by just putting icy hot in his underwear and fucking like, you know,
it's a slow road from point A to point B, but you'll get there eventually. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, totally, man. I just thought that was insofar, and that kind of was Ford's original intent of the park, and that is baked into her, is to be like, it's like, this is fucking like, it's supposed to show you who you are, and you have no fucking idea, you bald-headed fuck. Like, that was kind of like her.
You know what's so interesting though? The next title of the episode 5 title is called Genre, and genres are a form of categorization, and what we're seeing is a totally different form of categorization with the Forge and the Forge in the books, and then Rehoboam, because we see this like determinism angle with Rehoboam, this life path being shot out for you, and obviously Caleb isn't like that, and that's why Dolores seeks out Caleb. And then we have the other side of the equation where Dolores is like, yeah, free will, and that's kind of the William side. So I actually wonder if William and Dolores still might team up, because I don't think that William likes anything being determined for him at all.
That would be
crazy, right?
Yeah. That could be interesting for them to actually have to become allied in some way.
They're like yin and yang, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
At the beginning of this season, I'm like, I bet they'll end up working together. And then, like, I don't know if I kind of lost. I'm like, maybe not. But I when it started, I'm like, I bet they'll do something with them.
I don't even know if I would call them yin and yang. I mean, I think they're just yin and yin. I think they're the same.
They're very much alike. They're so alike.
They're the same thing.
Yeah, they are a mirror of each other, really.
They're more alike than I think either one of them would ever care to admit, I'm sure. Yeah, definitely. So
that's a great point. Yin and yin. I love that.
Yin and yin, you know what I mean? Like it's like the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, like,
but black and white, like the color thing, though, is pissing me off.
Totally.
Dolores is now wearing black, and now he's wearing white. And
I think it's like I think it definitely speaks, and it evokes an emotion. It evokes like a dramatic impulse for sure. I mean, I think that for but I also think that it's like that's like bedrock, just like good storytelling. You know what I mean? Like but definitely, the yin and yang it's pretty good. Well, I guess like kind of what's the most interesting thing you think they're going to do in this next episode? Kyle, what are you thinking?
Oh man, I mean, genre, the genre, like I said, like genres are a form of categorization.
Sure.
So that, and I mean, it's a drug, so that means a lot. We see in the trailer that. So here's how I think they're going to go with it. Just from personal experience and just studying, like drugs are a thing like that are very of what mind state you're in. And if Caleb is like nervous about dying with Dolores, or he's in the situation where he doesn't feel like he's safe, he might have a bad trip. We see that with William, right? He's in this devolving state, and then we see people at the party that are enjoying themselves. They're like, wow, you know what I mean?
There was that guy at the that kind of like experimental installation party that was having a bad trip and flipping shit, like everything. So you can have him for sure.
Well, and also you notice that Caleb doesn't take the drugs. Like when he gives his mom the drug, but he won't do it himself.
Right.
Even when he was offered.
But if Liam injects him with it, and he's like, so what I think happens is like the two mirror world thing again. Like we see two totally different reactions. People that are cool with taking it and they're comfortable, and then we see the kind of more anxious nightmare scenario type of it. So nightmare, not nightmare. And I think that next episode is going to be super friggin' trippy.
It's going to be a Tony Soprano fever dream.
His bad clams.
Dude, he's just gonna be hanging out in like a hotel, like looking at like a weird, like a far off, like kind of like flame that just kind of like a city that kind of keeps shooting like one big like Blade Runner flame up at it.
That was such a weird episode of television. It was so wild that I I'm super old, so like that aired when I was still in college, the original time, and I didn't have HBO at the time, and we actually watched that episode and used it in a writing class as an example of really like monumental storytelling. And the idea of taking this idea of like, well, we're gonna have a bad clams turn into an entire episode of a television show, the most psychedelic episode of TV.
Totally.
So we can only be so lucky if this next one.
I hope.
You know what? Remember when Caleb gets injected with the drip thing, and like they elevate his heart rate? I think they're going to do that with the next episode. They're going to go from 0 to 100 and just go like, oh my god, there's going to be explosions of buildings.
Oh my
people with grenade launchers.
That was a fucking awesome thing, and that was just like that. Kind of was that was a very cool, interesting way to use that in the way that just like it's like I can just turn up your heart rate until you fucking have a heart attack and your heart bursts inside of your chest. Like
that's terrifying.
Someone has an idea.
An app for your heart.
Right.
So wrong.
Yeah, or just like, but then like again, maybe you could go back to like Dolores was just using it to fucking punk William. Like she puts one in, but she just makes it like so his foot is just falling asleep the whole time and he can't get it.
God, that would be so that'd be torture.
Mildly annoying.
Apropos of not a lot here, but like since we've been under quarantine and I ran out of snacks a while ago, every time I see somebody type Dolores, I always am like, Doritos? That sounds delicious.
Spicy extra nacho Dolores, man.
I could go for some Doloresitos right now.
Doloresitos, baby. Absolutely. No, I mean, like, but then, like, oh shit, like, what else could she do? She could do a thing where, oh my God, she could make it so you never stop hiccuping.
Oh, that's
right?
terrible.
Like I remember.
Yeah, but your abs would be shredded.
Yeah.
But your diaphragm would be compromised.
That's
sure. Yeah.
That's what other Hemsworth is, his brother. That's what like Chris Hemsworth. He goes like, no, you don't go to do that. You just go to hiccup all the time. You have washboard abs like me, you know. Fuck off. Why don't you go get yourself another Marvel movie? Huh? Do you ever think him and Liam like kind of bust down on other Hemsworth? It's like, fuck you. All you got is your little stupid fucking show. I mean, like we're in like the biggest movies in the world. That's got to be an interesting Thanksgiving.
Oh, by the way, in that Dolores fight scene, he tore his bicep off in the Medieval World Park. Scene. Yeah. Like when he was fixing a TV in his house. So the fact that he did that scene like that with a torn bicep is
right. Oh, and they even sort of make a little bit of a mention of that when
he's like, I'm broken. Like, yeah, we're only doing it for essentials. Here's right. Again,
because he makes fun about that in the motel, right? When he's drinking beer.
Yeah, totally.
He's like, man, my shoulder's messed up from the swim.
Yeah, right. Totally. I thought that was a cute thing. That was a cute little bit.
Only essentials.
I know, right? Only the essentials. Well, I mean, like, I don't know. I thought it was a really fucking cool episode in which like we kind of like if we had kind of been kept having to guess who is who, like what host is where or whatever is for the entire season, I feel like it would have gotten a bit much. I am kind of glad that they sort of like made that reveal and now this whole new kind of paradigm has started within the story. And I thought it was a really fucking fun hour of TV for sure.
Yeah.
This season has been gas. Seriously.
It's been cool, man. It's been
solid.
Gassing it up, dude.
I mean, it's no Tiger King, but you know.
Oh my God.
I tell you what, man, I'm gonna come over there. It's like, I tell you what, we're gonna put a pearl inside of that goddamn bitch Carol Baskin's head, and we're gonna program.
We have to talk about Tiger King once a stream.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like it's.
I would go to Tiger World.
Tiger
it's
King
just
World?
that janky ass
The Raj is kind of Tiger World, isn't it?
Oh, sure.
No, I want like only like people fresh out of jail working there.
The zoo. So the zoo.
I want expired meat.
Yeah. Right. I got a bone to pick with that goddamn bitch Dolores Baskins.
That goddamn bitch Dolores Baskins. Absolutely. Oh my God. Yes, I love it. Have you had a chance to check that out yet, by the way, or no?
We keep talking about it. We're gonna convert you yet, Kyle.
Have you not?
He's too busy looking up Greek mythology.
That's true. He's too busy actually doing bona fide research that actually helps make for an informed and entertaining and illuminating discussion.
Well, I was reading this book again.
Nice.
Well, somebody's got to be an expert around here.
Yeah. Right. Welcome to Witcher Wednesdays. We're back, everybody. But anyway, I really appreciate you again, Kyle, and I appreciate you again. Like, I'm super stoked on this. I mean, I always liked Westworld, but this season in particular has been like
I am really, really into it.
Really fucking killer, and they've been getting a really, really nice like high biting average.
I'm doing this because the viewership has dropped, but I think the second half of the season is going to be really good.
Yeah, so, I think so. Hopeful. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of been. It's sort of incredible that this wouldn't be kind of killing it just because what the fuck is anybody doing?
Well,
Yeah.
No, counterpoint, like I found myself like right after I lost my job, like right after like it was like straight up quarantine and the whole world had changed.
Right.
I was like dipping back to like nostalgia comfort food viewing.
Oh, sure.
And I was watching like Walking Dead and I just like I can't do this right now. Like I just can't do this right now. Like
Walking Dead makes Westworld look like a fucking like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood comparatively as far as just like
you know what too, people are canceling subscriptions and stuff like that, like $10 here
that's
and there.
true.
Yeah,
That's
because we're all
true.
broke. Yeah.
So it's like I don't blame people at all for canceling
of course,
subscriptions and stuff like that.
But it has been, but despite all that, it has been an absolute pleasure to come on and talk with you guys about it for fucking sure. And we appreciate y'all in the comments and everything like that. Remember to like and subscribe. Head on over to Azor Ahype on YouTube. Follow that guy on you got Twitters and Instagrams and all that.
Azor Ahype on all social media. Facebook,
there you go. So
Twitter,
just like straight across the board. We both got Patreon, so definitely take a look at either of our Patreon pages if you want to keep supporting the content that we do. We got a bunch of fucking awesome stuff out there, but I want to say I appreciate everybody in the comments, and I thank you guys very much for joining us. We'll talk to y'all later. All right, we'll see you next week at 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern for episode 5 for
genre
for on WestWorld Wednesdays. We appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Later.
Bye.
End the broadcast.